We are back with the North America Challengers Open Qualifiers. Tenrek and Keg taking you through the first of two matches we get to watch today, inducting two new teams into Challengers North America. If you're just joining us, then I feel really bad for you because we just got to watch a stellar match between SAD Esports and Winthrop University on Breeze. A 13-5 victory for the former Keg. Search and Destroy just one map away from becoming our newest team in VCL, and they did it with style.
Remember, history being made no matter who's the winner of this series. We have potential co-ed team making their way into VCL or a collegiate team who, I mean, look, this entire offseason, and we want to go even farther, the entirety of last year has been huge for the VALORANT collegiate scene. Making an appearance in VCL would be absolutely gigantic, but we do go on to a new map, a lot more closed and condensed than what Breeze has to offer. We're going to Split. And this has been a map that we haven't seen a whole lot of from Winthrop's angle, but this has been a big playing field for SAD so far in the qualifiers. They've looked really good.
It's true, and it makes it very interesting to see because, in this first map, we watched a lot of Winthrop's, weaknesses getting exploited, but that also means as we shift to Split, which happens to be SAD's pick, we're not sure if we're shifting to SAD's strengths as much yet. We don't know if they can continue that momentum that we got to see them have so good in this first map. Again, a 13-5 victory, a very solid defense. I think it was a 9-3 defense that just led into them absolutely dominating on these breaches. They just constantly had mid control, constantly had these lurks down pat. Just so much better discipline in the long run for this team.
Yeah, most important stat, though, from that last game that we see here is the post plants.
Yeah.
8 out of 10, SAD had won, and it didn't matter which site it was where the spike had ended. No matter what, it was a big struggle for Winthrop to retake the site. I mean, especially on A site, they barely ever even got close to the spike. Like the one instance where we had seen some fantasticness, not even a post plant really, was just Nasi's ace. But for SAD, once they got into a site, once they were able to plant those roots in, it was over. And I don't expect that to change going into Split either. Winthrop, however, I think they need to really play into their strengths. We didn't really get to see a lot of over-aggression like I expected from a double duelist comp. You have a Reyna, you have a Jet, use them! You bring out the flashes, make sure that SAD cannot take that space, make sure you can be what a Reyna truly could be and just be a mess in the server. And so I'm really hoping Winthrop can take the time in this break and kind of recollect themselves on Split to just run around.
Yeah, the sneak was very disallowed by SAD, and that's due in part to how much got done on the front line, courtesy of Darkest, who was the MVP of that previous game. Just so much work done on the front line, just letting those knives fly almost to the back site, which again was the necessary part that SAD was really having trouble clearing more than anything else. Skarn and Bob really got to hold down those mid angles, those door entries, and from then on the pushes just were so much cleaner. And like you said, the ability that these two duelists on Winthrop have to be able to just move around freely and sneak by and go for these flanks may be a little more accentuated on Split, but they need to lean more into that attitude if they want to survive.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a confidence issue. We keep going back to the first major loss that we had seen Winthrop have in the qualifiers, and that was against Ambrosia. Same exact thing happened. We have a big, distinct timeline of on Sunset, Winthrop winning, like 13-1, 13-2, 13-4, 13-1 again. And then suddenly, when they weren't able to start converting those attacking rounds against that defensive team, double initiators came by, destroyed it all, and that confidence squandered away. Now, again, we had seen the double initiative presence on Breeze come out from SAD, same exact story. So look, I know it's not necessarily in their comp style for SAD. I would bring out double initiators again.
I mean, if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. And so far, there really has been nothing wrong with it. SAD's comp is, I think, adjustable to that double initiator. I think, instead of that second smoker, maybe you can toss in another one, but no, they're going to go with that Open Viper. They're going to keep Bob on that Sky, on that lone initiator, and then meanwhile, Winthrop, they're going to do the mirror. They're going to have that same composition. It's going to be the Raze, the Sky, and then the double smokes for that defense that they elected to start on.
I guess you could argue, too, for Winthrop, this could be a big advantage map as well, because, I mean, Split's been around for such a long time. Even with the Sky nerf, not a lot has really changed in terms of overall agent selection. You could have your strat book from as far back as, say, like June last year and still be able to apply a lot of big things. So you know, a much more in-depth strat book for Winthrop could mean that they have a lot more in their pockets when they start to falter those attacking rounds. They might be able to maneuver themselves a little bit more than they did on Breeze, which, you know, they did find a lot of round wins on map wins on the qualifiers, but they weren't like they weren't the most highest level games, I should say. So we'll have to wait and see here. A true tried and tested challenge. And as you said, a mirrored composition here. Sad looking to go for almost an early pistol default. That Viper Wall is so strong. See, the cool thing about that Viper Wall is that you can activate it early or mid-round, and you can choose to either full rush into B and have a little bit of that spike room to play with for post-plant, but you could also split push with it and take full heaven control. But there's 4 outside of mid, and I don't think that's going to work too well for Sad, but the caravanning over to A site might work.
How much is going to get committed to this? It looks like Winthrop just want to take mid off rip here. Zoe is going to get stalled, but not killed. And Winthrop can take over mid, but they'll have to double back as this screen has given 2 members of SAD free entry onto B site. They do not know where Darkest is. Now they do. Nazi, the trade back, and Bob is a little stuck right now, a little too much on her plate. And so the rotation through vents from the rest of SAD is imminent. Skarn, good for the refrag as well. And now the garage presence means that Moves has to look both ways before crossing the street. Bob is now free to re-entry, let the dog fly, and Infiltrator has to take care of Zoe in the meantime. Not enough time to, doesn't get that instant kill, and so will get fragged back on immediately. 3v1 for SAD. So far, so good. It is all business out the gate here, and Jerk, all they have is that tower presence. Nothing to grab back. Cam up in 10, but Zoe down first, and Bob quite low. Still very doable, as this rotation has a lot of time to prosper. Bob the first to enter back. Skarn is gonna make this perfect, and Jerk is more so. A clutch for the Winthrop native, and now we are 1-0 the other way.
The calling for this round from Winthrop was so interesting because normally you wouldn't expect a big, wide pincer maneuver from an attacking team on pistol. The Viper Wall had gone down, there was a distinct presence inside of mid leaning towards B site, and there wasn't really a presence on A site at all until vents. But the recollection to go double back, check to see where the rest of those attackers were, really helped enable to remove one gigantic prong of the trident that Sad tried to bring out. And so, why not double down and try it again? The pacing, the players, a little bit more different this time, but only on mid this time though. Winthrop have a poison orb. That's gonna be a big stall factor, but it won't be enough as many bodies as there was last round to stall just off of contact plays. Instead, no, there's that backside presence from Nasi, ready and waiting with a Spectre long range.
Oh, Nasi the swing back. Able to find the first. No push really cemented here. But that's why Sad is looking to poke. Skarn the first. Is that enough to prompt the full entry? Because Winthrop has all the time in the world
Fake
to
smokes?
get this presence back.
Zoe could go for the fake smokes on B side. Sad loved to bring it out. And Winthrop had fallen for it quite a few times on Breeze. Oh,
Yeah.
but perfect Sky Flash. Anti-alert perfectly. The whole plot's been discovered.
That's going to confirm every second that Zoe still spends on B as a second wasted at this stage. Bird toss back towards Moobs. That only confirms that there's ramp presence, but Moobs has already crossed this, and Sad doesn't really have the ability to check. Moobs is going to deal all the damage, and then some for not boats.
30 seconds
Bob
left.
somehow able to find that kill back, but by the skin of her teeth. And so Zoe, this presence in B site has materialized into a backline entry.
I like
and the
this.
smoke is faked on A tower. Zoe
I
has
like this.
played the longest game in the world
Does
here.
Bob have time? Bob just
10
barely
seconds
has
left.
time. You have to
Gotta get
worry
this
now.
kill.
The top of heaven, it's gonna be denied anyways. It's Nasi who snuck by the whole time. And there's no time to plant that spike. The acquisition of a Spectre, sure, you can save it. Just go for the fight. Hey, you get one for the road. Big buy-up round from Winthrop. Not a lot of bodies left to show for it, but I gotta say, I like Sad taking full advantage of the environment of the map. They had done something similar on Breeze, where they would go for those fakes, especially with their controller presence being so prominent. The problem is, though, those flashes, the discoverability, and the lack of over-rotation from Winthrop's side is a big change from Breeze. They over-rotated so much on their defense, and now they're anchoring specific players down to make sure Sad cannot worm their way through. Let's see what happens again this round. Double contact play right outside of B. It's up to Discovery for Sad once again. They want to take that mid presence. They want to start building up those kills for the ult orbs. This is their full buy round, and this could be the round for them to farm it up. But there's a triple contact presence, and no matter what weapons you have, it's all fun and games until you have a Bucky to the face.
They have to throw
it's not even a stall.
Yeah, they have to throw so much into this early as well, just to guarantee that Winthrop doesn't like immediately just like
it's true.
lurk down.
But Winthrop don't want to push up. They want Sad to push into them. They're not. Flashes out. Good discoverability. Maybe that can hide moves just a little bit longer on top of B Heaven.
Oh, so bad timing, but Infiltrator not landing the shots in time. Sad will get that first blood, and Zoe can get back up to full. But Winthrop, they can continue this presence as long as they want, and the clock has continued to be Sad's biggest enemy here.
Oh.
Spike is
big
stuck.
Thing to consider. Kenrick, look at this. Normally, you have to put your defensive Sky top of A ramp beginning round to deny a Cypher lurk. You can cage it out. Defenders normally can't hear it, and you scale up into Heaven. Now it's a quick game of rotations. That moves wasn't there to begin with.
Gucci steadily watching. Can hold this sight line. Gonna go for the drop. Can he find one more? No. Sad is able to check. How watched his jerk is be the last line of defense, trying to stall, and Darkest is just gonna stare them down. Just enough time to get this spike down, and 3 for that Viper, Bob the finisher, and 4 will stay stable for Sad's benefit. They will get it done, but it is still so close. Winthrop's denial is looking really solid so far. As long as they stay stalwart and they don't lose that first player, they look really solid for this defense so far.
Yeah, I really like what Winthrops are anchoring right now. I think the fact that they're not over-rotating, they're communicating with each other a lot, and there's 3 specific plans all being cohesive into a large one, both on B, mid, and even the A-site anchors, making sure that they can always have a visible presence to see if anyone tries to lurk up. Sad are tricky. They want to go for that, especially the Cypher. There's no moves. Top of A-ramp again. No early flash to deny the possible lurk presence. Viper wall down. Nasi isn't off angle here. A lot of teams that they entry fast don't check it.
And with this screen up
they
again.
think Nasi's backside.
Oh, Nasi's gonna poke out early and somehow finds 2. Bob is gonna let the Seekers fly early after that frag back, and Infiltrator is able to space her out. A complete shutdown yet again onto Garage, and Sad has no tools to get in. Barely any players, but it's Coburg that has gotta do the dirty work. Gucci is watching this yet again, and will get it done. Nothing doing for Search and Destroy this time around. It's down to Zoe. See how much he can find. 4 to go here, and the Neural Theft in the pocket too. Winthrop have this round pretty tied up.
Yeah, the fact of the matter now that Sad are being denied their lurking presence, Zostal, not a lot they can really do here. If they can manage to get 2 kills at the very least, they could enable their From the Shadows into the next round. I mean, look, you're so lurk heavy to begin with, having the big macro level rotation anywhere on the map could be a blessing in disguise. But saving that singular Vandal is going to take top priority. Winthrop now, they've only lost 1 body in the process. I was worried, Tenrek. I was worried going to this round because Winthrop had won the first 2 rounds last map. They started to falter once we started seeing Sad with the hands of Vandals in their favor. But it looks like now history's changing just a little bit more. And Sad, the onus is on them. They have to change up their pacing into this next round. Winthrop are fully aware, okay, mini default presence, they collude together and push B-site. That has been every round so far, except for the ending of one. If Sad want a 4-stack like they may be opting to do here, and fast push into A-site, they would find so many more benefits, especially with how close, say, someone like Darkest ult is. They could take full A-site control, but they have to do it here while they still have rifles.
Yeah, it's gotta be now. Otherwise, they'll have to go back to the drawing board, and that could take up to 3 more rounds.
On the flash presence is gonna be huge here. That's gonna shut down the entire fast-pacedness of the attack. Surprise factor's gone.
Trapwire is gonna get taken down by the bird. Jerk's gonna shoot into the fray and find an early. Gucci still able to find 1. Can dip down and find Coburg and still hasn't been spotted. Skarn good for 2, but Gucci is still untouchable at the moment. And Infiltrator is able to stand the ground on tower to make sure that that ramp presence is unavailable to Winthrop. Again, just a total shutdown. Absolutely nothing available for Sad. Just nothing even brought to the table this round.
That was such a crazy read. That should have been Sad's round. The fact of the matter is that B and mid have been so defender present that really they've only had one anchor on A. That should have been the round that overwhelmed someone like Jerk. But Moves had played heaven, got that early flash. Cyber Cage came up as the execution come by from Sad, and it made everyone falter. I'd hoped that Sad would go for attack timeout into this round, and I'm glad they are. They changed the tempo into the last round, and it got shut down hard. And now they won't have the money to full buy into the next. So they could easily deathball here and attempt to do what they wanted to last round on A, but maybe go for B with lesser weapons and less risks involved. But the real strat change, what they're really talking about, has to be what the next rifle round looks like. Skarn has that showstopper. Easily could see it on a thrifty round like this to take that space heaven.
It's true. You could take either tower if you play your cards right here. And it comes down to the proper time to enter. A lot of it contends with like who is holding down on this screen, and most of the time it is Nazi. But Winthrop, it looks like they want to get this read again. They're going to double hold early on Garage. I think they want to get this shut down before Skarn can even move.
It looks like though everyone's facing towards the pings towards mid. They're ignoring A site early. Viper Wall should be coming up. Will we see the showstopper early for mid control, or is it going to wait until top of B? Smoked out. That means it's gonna be a vent style play. Gucci might be in trouble.
Yeah, a lot coming his way here, but it's got to be a dry peek. Darkest, good timing, but Infiltrator has the crossfire. Now it's got to be now or never, and it's gonna be never. Gucci still has it locked down. Bob, the next to come in, will be able to at least take care of him. But how much more can she do with Coburg still on the run to sewer and Winthrop able to spread themselves so evenly now? And Nazi even going for this flank up mid. They want to allow absolutely no space, no time. But Bob is going to make some of her own. Taking down Infiltrator next. Now it's the vents re-clear. Moves down low. But here comes Nazi. Coburg down. And now it's just Bob left. No excuses, no backup, no other chances. But Spike in hand, Vandal in tow, and 3 bodies to grab, all in pretty isolated cases. This is very doable. If there's anybody to do it, if there's anybody post-timeout, at a comeback situation like this, in a bonus round like this, it is Bob. But she's got to get this site first. 25 seconds to play with this. Looks like she's just got to bite the bullet and get this spike down, play for that post plant. But where do you go? Only 1 bird in the pocket at the moment, but the dog is still available. Maybe 3 shots can take her down. Very easy crossfire available, especially with all the smokes that Nazi still has. Early entry back from Bob, no shots landed. Bird will not confirm, the drop is on the other side, and the wide swing from Moves will confirm it before she can even get a word in edgewise. Winthrop, 5-1.
It's such a small thing when you look at it on the screen, but the calling for Winthrop has been incredible. The fact that Nazi had stuck bottom B heaven stairs when Bob faked the audio cue of the rope to go down and B was a wild choice. The comms right now are so clean, making sure everyone's holding proper angles, making sure, again, you can fake all you want. Bob is great at that. But if you make sure she cannot be faked out twice, it's incredible to see. And this looks like, again, full rifles in tow. Blast pack now conjured up with the Viper's Pit that could very well come out from Darkest. Gunfire versus gunfire here. This will be the blast pack showstopper opening I was looking for.
It's quick, but it's not easy. Zoe, the opening pick, and now Skarn can go wherever they please. It's up to tower, but where do you fire? Not much time left here. It looks like they've just got to default to screens. I don't think they even get a pick there. Yeah, no damage done at all. Not even a clear. I mean, no space was even made. And Zoe's been caught behind the box. Has to TP back away. So many tools already used up and still not on site. Moves, shuts down Coburg too.
Darkest? All the way over on B side, shuts down at least 1 tripwire. Infiltrator's looking to pick up the pieces now, play janitorial work, but no. Oh no, Darkest trying to go for the make again. It's just like Breeze, but no, Winthrop were aware.
Oh, Zoe read like a kindergarten book. Jerk the easy shutdown, and now he can play from Link as long as he wants. The rest of Winthrop will come screaming back when the Seekers are followed. And the entry is still not there. Skarn only good for 1. Bob versus the world yet again, and the world will once again deny. 6 now for Winthrop.
there's just not an opening that Sad has been able to find. The cyber cages from Jerk, the hole from top A heaven. That should have been enough to allow someone like Skarn to go through and find the showstopper presence to take that early control, but no. All it takes is 3 pieces of utility. That's all you need. And now you supplement the Viper on top of that. Attempted double down. Winthrop are just thinking steps ahead beyond Sad. And at this point, the spike isn't even being picked up. And this has to be a play now for Zoe to pick up that spike with their ult late round. Scar wants to find that early presence again, take full A-side control and eliminate Jerk. Moves is gone. That's one piece of the puzzle, but now Jerk has to be the apex factor.
So he'll start to enter just a little bit more into the backside. Winthrop already just couple inches closer. Gucci may pay the price for it. No, Skarn is caught, and there's no time to refrag. Zoe has to use the paranoia, and now there's the crossfire available as well. Winthrop always having the backup plan before Sad can even think of their own. Now Infiltrator with their own showstopper searching for Bob, and Gucci is going to be the one to find it first. This Viper is absolutely on fire right now. Shout out the Accru alum. Gotta show the love.
Oh man, what a throwback.
Right? On split too, no less. I mean, if there was ever a map to.
See, when I think of Accru, I think of Fracture.
You know what? That's more late. Yeah, the late stage Accru is more Fracture heavy. Gucci was crazy then.
When they fought Sentinels, right?
Yeah. That's and Accru. That was the match to get them into Challengers as well.
What a throwback, huh?
What a place for Gucci to be again, now sitting atop that kill feed. 12 and 3.
I don't like this. I don't like this 10 rec. They're going for it again. They're faking A side control this time, but there's only Skarn's presence. They're faking A. Okay, they're not doubling down, tripling down actually again. They're faking it to make it seem like the over rotations are there and that they would hold and reset the rehit. Oh, Infiltrator. But Zoe's aware. That paranoia gigantic opens. You don't check it. Okay, Kohlberg saved my sanity.
Gucci is back on this pretty quickly, and with the snake bite, he's able to take down 2 before even peeking back out. But is getting chased a little bit. Kohlberg has re-entered vents. Is Gucci ready for this? He's been so instrumental to making sure that these double pushes do not come to fruition. And once again, he will be the one asking them to slide. Kohlberg spotted, nothing doing. Cyber Cage has to be allotted, and Gucci is at least tossed away for now. So the entry moves is down, and so B-side is available. Nazi, the only line of defense, has to play with this toxic screen, but doesn't know how much garage presence there is. Spoiler, none. Kohlberg taken down. B-side is under control of supply and demand.
Spike goes down. A big improvement. We haven't seen this in a bit. At least a little bit more money in the pockets of Sad. Holding crossfire. Viper's pit open.
Ooh, twinsies! Let's go.
Zoe. The double layer. It's like a cheesecake.
Oh, and Gucci's gonna be found off rip. That's 0 extension now for Jerk. You have nothing. Might just be for exits at this stage. I mean, what can you look for? Looking for something to proc, maybe. There's the second one tossed in. Yeah, I mean, all you know is the fact that he's back at Link. He's just going to play for the exit, but at this point, nobody from Sad is going to exit there. Winthrop will lose the streak. Sad will hold it down. 3 rifles strong. It took a village, but they will get their second.
This is such an interesting game because usually you can look at like a match, right, from like an analytical view and be like, okay, this is what I would do differently. This is the win condition. This is how you gain leverage against the enemy team for both sides. But Winthrop are playing it so interestingly because it's like individual player prowess per part of a round, per every round. Gucci and Vents, Jerk backside A, moves floating, Nasi on B, going for that late flank. It's a reset point for Sad every single round, and that's why it's a struggle for them to make that call. How do you get past one of these players, let alone all of them? Nasi's already scaling up. That's a huge opening point. B's now suddenly open. There's no showstopper to worry about yet. But there's not a lot of ults in general for either side. Zoe is close to getting that from the shadows, and Scar is so close, inching away from the showstopper. But Kohlberg has to fish for the orbs there to get that final one for the neural theft, and that's why you can see Scar defending it here. They have to be allowing Kohlberg to get the safe passage for that final ult.
They've just been copy and pasting players for this defense this round. Winthrop's been working with a similar recipe this whole game. And perhaps they're starting to overcook. Sad able to just hold their ground like they did on Breeze a little more. Wait for these pokes out of the exits from mid in particular. But now it's the main entries that Sad is taking advantage of. And this pack mentality that they'll use to re-breach B, probably, considering that, again, there's only 35 seconds left, so your options are quite limited at this stage. But look at how much util you have at this stage. In comes Skarn, unkempt, unprompted, unstoppable. Bird will confirm Gucci's position. Moves was able to hide in the smoke, though, so turning tail coming from Link. Skarn is good for 3, and there's enough presence on site to make it quite easy to breach onto Gucci as well. Coburg versus everything, or just Jerk, rather, as that lurk up tower will finally come to fruition, and Sad get an easy third.
Yeah, I thought for sure we would see Skarn and company hold for that final ult point, just to make sure, okay, we have a little bit of information for the post plant. Not the case. Coburg instead holding for that late lurk, and while it wasn't Benz that he discovered Jurek, it was top of B Heaven. Very valuable pieces of utility going to the final rounds of this half. And like you mentioned, Tenrek, very aptly, Sad playing it slow these early rounds is what they attempted to do early on in this map, and it didn't work. But if they just play aggressive for the first few seconds and then cut noise, wait for those angles, Winthrop's a team that historically gets antsy. They like to push up and find those kills. You just have to fire back and make sure. Big adjustment though. Jerk now setting up on A site. B site, excuse me, rather. Very different from before. It's gonna mean a bigger presence of players on A site this time. The big question I would have now for Sad is, when are you gonna rotate? Are you gonna rotate? Or do you want to take the risk again against Jerk? Of course you do, he's dead!
Once again, the reads off of these replicated plays, regardless of who's slotted in, Winthrop's becoming a little predictable on this defense. It's starting to get weathered. Can you rub that salt in the wound?
A reset and a re-hit. No players around.
I know exactly.
No tripwire set up. Neural Theft discovers the flank.
Can fire that showstopper into the ether.
Spike planted.
Winthrop was ready for it, and Gucci is ready to be found, but Skarn refrags. That's the garage presence gone. Now you come back to tower for this 2v2. Zoe still has to check out Link, though, and this drop down is inevitable. Nazi, the smoke set up. Skarn, oh, the attempted off angle to try and take care of moves, but there is, again, little too much setup from Winthrop, little too much ground gained in the end there. Had to re-enter, and that is enough. Winthrop will get their 8th round.
You know, normally I would say, yeah, I mean, sure, they lost 3 players, but they should have the money to reinvest, right? No. 900 credits into that round for a move. They're losing bodies every single round, but they're still able to clutch it out. There's only a single round left this half, excuse me. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, of course you can full buy, but you're not able to destroy that economy too much. They can fully reinvest here. And I'm a little nervous to see how the sides will flip for Winthrop's economy when they are on the attack. And of course, we're going to end things true fashion. A four stack out with A site and a lurk on B. This time, no Cypher. They've recognized, okay, permanent setup on B now. We should get free access to both A and A Heaven.
They can control from this side pretty effectively as long as they just, again, hold it down at this first leg.
They have the time.
Gucci is going to double check for the mid presence, which is technically there, but Darkest is really just there to make some noise, try and keep as many on this other side as they can. He's already done his job to an extent. The weight has shifted slightly, but Darkest, at this point, more of a flank watch than anything else, trying to see if anybody pops into market. Moves a dry swing and sees the 4 stack. It's confirmed. Sad is headed to A. Winthrop in panic mode, going for the heavy rotation back as Sad is going to get this spike down.
Spike planted.
Yeah, that flank watch now going to be the heavy rotation further into the round. Nasi does go from the shadows in the back. Oh, attempted mini flank pincer maneuver. There is one tripwire to worry about. Everyone's Sad, hiding on site. They don't want to give any space away for themselves. They want to huddle in and go for trades.
Bob's able to spot out Infiltrator. This flank needs to be perfect. The trap wire is still there, so it's got to be shot out first. Oh, Bob is just perfect watching up the tower. Now tossing out the Seekers for the last 2. Skarn and Zoe can get it done there, and Sad are able to hold it down once more. Once they're holding sight, they're really unstoppable, but it's just the process of getting there was so difficult for so long, and that led to Winthrop finding this momentum, but now they've got to complete 5 rounds to go, and we go to map 3.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to the individual prowess that Winthrop had for their defense. Unlike Breeze, where they tried to go for those solo plays and those singular swings, it didn't work out well. SAD played as a cohesive group. But when it comes to a much smaller map like Split, you can't really get away with shenanigans like that as much. And that makes me a little worried. Side swap now. No team has an agent advantage because it is directly even. It's a mirror comp. 4-round advantage, sure, but SAD, who's to say they don't perform the same exact tricks that Winthrop themselves had done. Double Viper Wall presence on A, triple cross contact we had seen when the sides were reversed on Pistol. And there's a Cypher cam on top of that too once the smoke falls. Flash, the swing from Skarn off contact.
Infiltrator gonna follow the dog in, recognizes where this is. Skarn still wins out the 1v. Are you joking? And Cobra can now pop out freely from vents. The push is fragmented and fully stopped. Spike now stuck on steps. But where is the rest of Winthrop? Nazi still poking from mid. Jerk unmitigated up to garage. And Zoe taking a second to pop the dome. Gets it done eventually. And so SAD can focus all of their resources on Spike. Thus, all of the resources on Nazi. Another pistol won by supply and demand.
These next 2 rounds are going to be an interesting litmus test.
Yes, sir.
Winthrop, great shutdown on the defense. Don't need to say any more than I already have, but SAD can do the same exact thing. So if you're Winthrop, you know how that defense works in this matchup. How do you beat essentially your own defense? And I want to highlight really quick too that Gucci is a little bit of an outlier in this matchup, considering that he's 19-8. 10 kills more than anybody else on his team. Huge defensive plays. And this should be the time for someone else like Infiltrator to light up. A match where so far in the quals has never gone below 200 ACS.
Yeah, all Gucci can really do is enable for these pushes at this stage. If SAD can play for that same level of deniability,
oh, beautiful,
like that with Coburg, as he's just gonna pop right out, find 3! Bob can do the rest! Record time for the follow-up, and SAD just made this game as close as can be.
2-round differential now. Things are getting so heated. The Cypher utility. I love the Cyber Cage presence. Really, it's going to come down to Winthrop needs to parse out where Coburg is going to be playing the majority of the time. Remember, it was Jerk playing on A site 90% of the rounds and only swapped the B towards the very end. That means now, if Winthrop, they may be following the same exact trap where they want to keep pushing in A site, disrespecting that Cypher util. But Coburg, just like Jerk, can just hide in screens and use that Cyber Cage as a free shot mechanism.
Gotta be on these other parties to make an impact. They will once again try on A, and Coburg is just gonna do what Jerk did, but a much faster entry from Winthrop. They have learned Infiltrator is in, and Infiltrator is diffing. Coburg gone, and Winthrop can make the effort here. Back into screens we head. SAD still having someone kept there, and able to circumvent. This trapwire presence is not up to main. They have to double check in the cubby, and Jerk is able to find 1 out of it. Winthrop still winning advantage overall, but the screen presence still has to be taken care of. Gucci's just gonna go in himself. Nothing doing there. Spray and pray for the follow-up. It's not gonna happen. SAD keeping 2 stable in screens to be able to re-entry. Now back to tower. Bob only for 1. It has to be her for the remaining 2, and they line up for her, as everyone should. SAD clutch up the bonus, and we do indeed have a match on our hands.
All hail the queen. Good lord, SAD brought it back. That was Winthrop's round 100% until the lineup there. They're choosing not to respect the utility being brought up by these defenders. Round after round, the Cypher stall on A would create a choke, allowing defenders to collapse upon the attackers. And someone like Infiltrator is the space creator that you need. But Bob might be the player you need even more. And this is going to be that 4-spy round here. 3 stingers to work with. Deathball once again, straight up to A. Flash this time now from Bob should be huge to shut it down and allow enough time for these defenders to swing around, rotate for the collapse.
These first steps were just so bloody good from Winthrop. Oh, no. They're gonna rinse and repeat what worked so far, and that is Infiltrator up this front line. He is devastating when he's up in your face, and that is exactly where he is right now. Winthrop take A site for
Spike
free.
planted.
And now all Sad has is the tower take back. Bob kind of just has to play the waiting game for a little while here. But the gun diff will ring true. I mean, yeah, the speed at which Winthrop just took that is so reminiscent of the rounds that we saw them on the defense here. And Infiltrator is gonna make it work. Improvise with this death ball coming into screens to 2 for 2 though. Zoe still able to hold it down. The spray back moves, is able to win the duel. And now it's Darkest on the crunch. But Spike is left in the corner. Jerk can peek back, and Winthrop, with that unalienable speed, are able to take it back and hold on to quite a bit. Keep themselves in this game.
I gotta say, I'm so surprised that Sad allowed so much space to be created by Winthrop on A site. You had all the utility that you needed directly in front of you to shut down Stingers. But like you mentioned, Infiltrator, Nasi and company, they take site space no matter what. They do not care. And now Winthrop are in a beautiful spot where they can farm for ults non-stop. Bob does have Seekers close. Zoe as well from the shadows. But I'm looking at Infiltrator. You get that opening pick inside mid. You bring yourself up to B heaven with that showstopper. You have so many options.
One of the top 10 duelists we've seen from this tournament so far. And he's not done yet. Very willing to toss his body at the problem. And especially for that A site breach, that's what you need to do. But WU, they're gonna slow it down.
Recognition.
Oh, this is such good conditioning. The double controller still stuck at B site for this long is huge.
Zoe was waiting for someone to pick up that orb to use the judge against them. And now, if you pick up that orb on A site, you have a lot of options here again, but it's those baited plays. Everyone right now on Sad are waiting for that audio cue.
We go.
Still nobody picks it up.
We toss it. Bob is there this time, though, not smoked out. And the Seeker's tossed proactively will give her all the entry she needs for herself and Coburg to get the rest of the job done. Nazi winning out the duel, but Skarn is there for the refrag. And Sad are able to stack Jerk in the 1v3 and no real way to get inside. Even tapping this orb is a practical death sentence. And so you've got to just work your way around, maybe see if you can get your paws on this spike. But you've got to watch so much, including Zoe, who will finally get to use that judge. 8 to 9.
They're the jury and the executioner too. A 1-round differential. Surely Winthrop are not gonna push A again, right? Oh no.
At this stage, especially again, the gun diff is back. I mean, what choice do you have?
I suppose you're right, but I'm thinking you could easily just scale up mid, 5-stack your way through. You could have like, at most triple contact mid. Yeah, it's not great, but you also only have a stinger. Like you could easily run it through and at least try to eliminate guns. But Winthrop are going to go for attack timeout here. And I see those pings directly on A site, and it looks like they're going to try to find early heaven control here too. Now, if they're only pointing towards heaven, that's not indicative that it's an A side take. Easily, we could see a pinch in mid from vents and possibly bring it over to B. But that could also just be Keg over engineering things. We'll have to wait and see. But the biggest point of leverage, yeah, you have a Sheriff and a Stinger. You have a lot of ults to work with here. Surely Infiltrator will be using that showstopper on that execution.
You might be,
and if it's used properly, that's gonna be huge.
I'm wondering what high ground Infiltrator wants to play for here, because I feel like you have to play for a high ground if you're Infiltrator right now.
See, I feel like he's gonna play for B. I think there's always been that presence on B. If there's a round you want to check and see, okay, what does B for Sad's defense look like? It has to be this round where you don't have as much risk.
I mean, there's no screen take back on B either. They've been setting it up on A as well. Zoe does not have to watch these two angles. They're able to just kind of keep their eyes on the prize here until some more noise is made. The tower control is not a question for them.
Yeah, but what worries me the most is that Moves bought the Vandal. And I get why you're going to use it to play off of Seekers, but it's so different from everybody else's buys that it might end up hurting you in the long run, depending on the outcome.
Yeah, that's dangerous. But so is this push that's materializing from Winthrop. The party is starting to arrive. Everyone's a little fashionably late, particularly Jerk, but that just means
the door is closed. Oh, door's open.
We're vulnerable, we're stuck, we're slowed. Infiltrator's still in. Zoe can barely land the shots. Hawk to confirm what they already know, and Sad just have the sightlines. There is no question for the save round. Nothing is going to come of it. The Vandal is already disapparated. Winthrop, absolutely nothing brought here, and Skarn gonna give Winthrop a taste of their own medicine in the end of that. A flawless round 18, and we are tied.
A little confusing to say the very least. I do like that Winthrop are trying to see what the defensive defaults look like from SAD's end, especially when they've been pressuring A so much. There shouldn't be as much of a presence on B. Now that they have full rifles again, they're bringing the Viper wall down on A.
Again.
This won't be the exit. This is a conditioning wall. They want SAD to think this will be an A side take. They're going to bring that wall up really early on. It cuts off A long, it cuts off Heaven's angle to ramps, and this will be a pinch, hopefully from mid to B.
Yeah, Gucci's already rotated back to B site. There's no way they expect that. Huge mid control out the gate here for Winthrop. Skarn will have to step away, and only one smoke has to be committed because of that. This is great conservation to start things out for Winthrop. They'll have to use a lot of Viper util to hold it back and give SAD enough time to look for these opening picks on the other ends of things, like here in Vents, where Jerk's been spotted, and Bob gets the first blood. There's the ticket. Winthrop has no other option. They have no other point of time. They need to go, and they need to go now. Snakebite tossed into the ether of Vents, so Winthrop is a little bit stalled, shaken but not stirred. Zoe confirming Gucci's position, but nobody else with that TP, so it's still for that mid control that is honestly a little bit debatable at the moment. They'll play for Vents instead, with Gucci continuing to be the noisemaker over on B main to divert 3 members, but how many of SAD do you need to make this work? Skarn still playing against Infiltrator. The paint shells is gonna flush them out and end up finishing despite the frag back. And Moobs alone with Spike has to take down Zoe. They will, and so they have at least a little bit of time, along with some cabbages, to let fly and see where they might need to head to. Now that Gucci has met them back, it is a full-fledged 2v3 to take this lead back for Winthrop's favor. One of the last chances they may have to do so, and they'll go towards the more weighted site, where Coburg is low, Darkest is high, and now both of them are gone. Winthrop makes it work, and now the 2v1 looks better than ever.
Remember when Bob was last in a 1v2?
10 seconds left.
You cannot line yourself up like bowling pins again, Winthrop. Viper's Pit's out. The Trailblazer barely didn't spot. Oh no,
so
it did spot Bob. Okay. Ooh, I thought for a second that Bob could just barely scale by. 10-9, playing the full default game.
Out of charge.
Knowing Winthrop, I thought for sure we would see a full heavy exec presence yet again, but no. Now defaulting, really taking their time, disassembling, being clinical against SAD's defense. Taking Vent's control, which we hadn't seen SAD take much of. Really taking the space that full advantage of the map, really. Same conditioning wall comes down again, just in case they have to rely themselves back over to A. The end of the round. It should be that same default again. It worked out well. Double digits now.
Once again, playing for mid first. They know they can scare Skarn at this point. They've done it enough times where they understand they can space him out with just a smoke, a couple pot shots, and force SAD to search for other angles. This part of Split is not a question for WU, but every other part that extends is still so in the dark.
I mean, they're playing the Split part of Split. You know?
Heyo.
Splits the sides in half. Yeah. Let's see. That poison orb is a scary factor. It does go down. The Split push here. Showstopper, Infiltrator. Watch. Stinger only. He's going to go for it.
There it is. Searching for somebody. Lone body. There's people around, but Darkest is skirting. Okay, Zoe is going to get found out in garage, but his presence everywhere else is the big problem, and Darkest is still unstoppable. Showstopper tossed back from tower as well. The rest of Winthrop's attack is just got nothing else to show for it. Infiltrator, unfortunately, had to kind of backtrack with the ultimate in order to make it work, and it's a premature pinch that lets SAD, again, take the reins far earlier than WU intended. We're back at 10 again.
Yeah, the problem now is that if you want to default like Winthrop has round after round, Darkest is ready with that Viper's Pit to shut down the split of mid, the entirety of it. And that has to mean you're funneled now towards A or B exclusively, unless you want to contest the Viper. But Winthrop has to change up their pace. They can't default again. Double lurks, B and mid. They are the ones going to facing... No Viper's Pit outside of mid. Okay, interesting. That has to be for post-plant. That means now A-side control.
They recognize the speed of this A push. They know that this is what Winthrop feels comfortable with this gun diff, and so they're going to waltz back over to site where it'll be more utilized. Coburg, denial, Darkest back in the driver's seat for Vents. No split push available, just Nazi on 3 HP, and that is not gonna last long. Sad make quick work, only drop 2, and are 2 rounds away from becoming your first team out of the OQs into VCL.
It's so fun to watch Sad because you would think, right, like, it's a default every round. We're going to shut that down. But Sad have barely used any utility. They're allowing Winthrop to take that space and make their own mistakes by overextending when it matters the most for them. A perfect example there with the Zippo replay is Darkest going for the 1v2 inside of mid. Perfect strafe, catching those attackers off guard. Exactly what you need. And here we are yet again, full buy, potentially now the last.
There is the hit. Oh, Darkest!
No.
Immediately gone! What a clapback! Immediately, Bob only good for 1-2. Winthrop's gotta go now. Coburg's gotta exit now. But the snake bite to deny even that. WU crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and doing it at a breakneck pace. And Nasi rounding out the back end too. Sad completely shut down. 2 still up, Zoe and Skarn coming from screens for this 2v4, but Winthrop have all the tools they need now that all of their ults are gone, funnily enough. So much flushing still needs to be done, and it all starts with Gucci here in the cubby corner.
Go get him.
All the util gone, Scar in the dry swing, Boombot still on the way to victim number 2. Gonna guarantee the position of Moobs, who is still skirting all of this danger. Skarn low, but still up, not for much longer. Nazi can clutch it up and close it out. We are tied yet again.
All this way. Fantastic hole in the post plant there by Winthrop. I mean, big advantage there was taking down Darkest ult in the beginning. Had that Viper's Pit lived even a few seconds longer, Snake Bites would have been down. Ramp's control would have been so much more difficult. Just even pushing in the A main proper would have been so much more difficult, if not impossible. 11-11 though. A round desperately needed by Winthrop, and they've looked sharpened up yet again. No timeouts going into this. It's the same A-sided play again. You have the double Sentinel presence here with the Viper's Wall and the Cypher utility. Bob, take a dangerous dance.
Seekers are just gonna get tossed. They want to flush Coburg out early, and they're doing it to take ramp, but Coburg isn't buckling. In fact, he's gonna drop back onto site,
no.
and it's Darkest who is gonna take Vents, but is hit by the concuss, so has to back out for a second. Sad is split, but Winthrop is not in. They still have to breach this, and now that they don't have the Seekers to, now that they don't have any paint shells, what can they use? Skarn on the operator, gonna miss that first shot. One opportunity gone, but Winthrop
it's all on Jerk.
Still have to materialize one. This lurk from Jerk is crucial. Still watched by Darkest. Coburg confirmed. Paranoia tossed out. Coburg still the spray. Gets one. A-site is cleared. And the lurk is still there. Jerk is still untouched. And Darkest has turned their head. Winthrop may have the pinch. Back in we go. Darkest is down. And that could do it. Winthrop don't have much more to do. Infiltrator stuck, but not for long. Gucci the refrag, and it's a 2v1. Zoe on tower. A little bit of time to take care of Gucci first. And spots the gun. Dip down, easy kill, one left, coming from Vents, and has some time in smoke, on Spike. Jerk has got to come careening back. Does Zoe just hold it? The cam to confirm, time wasted. Jerk does get it done just in time. And Winthrop is on game point.
Match point.
What was the bar at?
It looked full, it lolooked done.
Is there something smaller than milliseconds?
Microseconds. Zeta,
Microseconds?
Like, oh god, what's like the, like femtoseconds or something? Like there's some, I don't know how far down VALORANT counts, but that was as close as it can get, folks.
And who's to say it ends there?
0.02! Bro!
No way. Look, no matter who you are on this server right now, you're shaking after that one. That is full-on adrenaline pumping into every single part of your body. Of course, if you're sad, you're going to go for a timeout. You just need to reset for a second after that. Sure, you can come up with strategies, but that is just a moment to just take a breather before potentially going to overtime, or even map 3. Winthrop have been doing such a good job playing into these over-rotations from Sad. The late-round lurks that turn into flanks. I mean, Jerk saved the day. And I thought for sure he'd be that opening factor to allow Winthrop to go and execute in, but he was the last line of defense, literally. And so now, Winthrop, I'm hoping now they haven't used all their aces up their sleeve. A-Site has worked wonders for them after that last round, but you can't rely on that every time. And that was a big struggle for them on Breeze. Spike is catered towards mid this time around. Not quite a default, at least just yet. Early smokes in mid, though, applying that pressure, faking it out. Poison Orb in retaliation is good for at least some info. Viper should be close by.
Yeah, neither of these teams are afraid to make themselves known early on here. This song and dance is pretty figured out. It just comes down to the execution at this stage.
Yeah, but Winthrop have to play so carefully here. They have to play for the opening pick and choose what they want to do based off of that. If they can remove vents, they can easily go to A-Site.
Skarn, good taps. Gucci's half.
Poison's off.
So advantage Sad. Huge mid presence here if Darkest doesn't counter this, but WU, they'll back away and they'll lean back on their heels of A-Site.
No.
Oh.
Suddenly the turns have been made off of the Neuro Theft, making it seem like this could be a mid push once again.
Yeah, trying to make it
like clockwork as Zoe.
a meet and greet in mid that Zoe is going to try and take advantage of here. They don't know how close they are, but they know they are close. Nazi first, Infiltrator second. Zoe gets it done. What's left? Gucci alone. Bob can confirm that. He's going to doubly confirm with the Hawk. Scare him away. And Moobs is
30 seconds left.
gonna be able to infiltrate vents here. Sad, a little stun locked, but
There's that
for
Cypher
good reason. That
Cypher
Cypher
Cam's gonna
Cam,
give it away.
I can guarantee it. Moobs is gonna be able to take that down, and now comes the hard breach from the tower. Can at least guarantee nobody's in the cubby. It's all down to backside, but what else could it be? Bob's gone. Now the presence on site. Zoe good for one more. 1v2 for Moobs, the first tap. Cobra can confirm. Moobs cannot tap it again, but nobody can re-breach immediately. No, Coburg! Perfect timing to guarantee the round. And Sad will take us to overtime.
Switching sides.
What is there to say at this point? I mean, where you're seeing the full gamut, rotations, anti-spacing, ensuring that wherever you don't see the enemy team, you are pushing up. And it's all just clockwork now. The breadth of information both these teams have. Remember, no hard info, no Sova scans or Fade Haunt scans. No, none of that. It's purely just off of calls and using the audio cues of the sky and Trailblazer, sure, to figure out what is going to happen in the mid-round. That is the peak point of confusion here. We talked about how Gucci was far and away the top kill leader, really, of the server. Bob was caught up. 23 and 15. No, just like when the both sides... Oh, actually, I was about to say, when both sides had swapped, we had seen Jerk start playing the Cypher Cam on B, or Cypher Util on B side. Guess what? They're on the defense. It's overtime. And Gucci's the first to fall. That's gigantic. You've lost so much defender presence on A.
That's a fulcrum gone for your team. You're on the defense. 2 rounds out from VCL. Pressure's gotta be on here. Coburg feels it. Early lurk on A, shut down. 4v4. And the trap wire shutdown will give this presence away. Where, oh where in the world is Jerk? Cage triggered. This long swing could be huge for the favor of Moobs, who is just watching Garage. There's one gone. Skarn early in. Moobs cares not. 2 more gone, and Winthrop are stacked on B to absolutely and completely deny this push on top of the screen. Zoe may try to double dip, find one more on the runaway as Bob heads over to mid to see what she can crack open. Whether that's for the
so
or the pinch for tower. Do you go for the 2v4 here? Do you go for the ISO kills for Zoe?
Such a sacrificial play.
And this smoke is just going to get tossed. Couple more shots fired. TP away. Bob still trollopsing over to A site.
15 seconds.
Unstopped. Unmitigated.
No info.
Winthrop, they're willing to play for the hard rotate here. Zoe is going to be, still going to have to play catch up here. Might have to watch sewers as well. Doesn't know how much mid-presence there was. Everyone is coming back from screens. This dog will do a lot of work in finding... No! Oh, it only spots one!
Play from screens.
Bob.
So, play from screens. Let Bob live.
First paranoia gone. Smoked out. Bob only good for 1. And Zoe doesn't stand a chance. Winthrop once again hold it down on the defense. And they are at game point once more.
I mean, this whole map has been dictated by defender wins. Who is to say it stops here? We could go into triple overtime.
Match point.
I wouldn't be surprised. Again, especially considering that even when so many crucial tools from Winthrop were gone immediately, I mean, killing Gucci feels like a death sentence there. And yet, they recoup, they reallocate, they fully weight themselves on B site, and they play for the hard rotate back for the post plant, and they feel so comfortable doing so, just because, again, if they put themselves in that death ball, as long as they don't give too much of that death ball away at once, then SAD can't make the full read on who's coming from where. They still have to cover mid, they still have to cover sewer, they have to cover every other flank angle.
Look at this though, they're not covering A main proper. Instead,
there's no screens.
They've recognized Winthrop love to take Rams control, but the cam sees nothing. Oh, maybe not Rams, but somebody was spotted.
Oops, smiling for the camera there, and now smiling for the trap wire. Say cheese! Bob takes him down. Winthrop do have sight though, and that's normally guaranteed the round more than enough. Jerk gonna get flushed away. A little bit of an early peek, but the snakebite is gonna start shipping away just a little bit. Darkest has to play this out though, and Sad now have to get back on. This spike is planted and ticking away. Skarn coming from screens to start things out. First bird tossed by Bob to maybe give them away into the cubby. That's been held a little conservatively by Winthrop. Now the early hold. Gucci good for just one on the trade back from ramp, which Winthrop still controls. It's the big screen breach that Sad has to make work, just as WU did, and it's enough to get in onto sight that Winthrop has given away to an extent. Darkest has to hold down this 1v1 against Gucci. He can't. It's gotta be up to tower. It's gotta be the hold on to Spike, and Skarn can do it. Sad will keep the party going, and double overtime, here we come.
Oh, ticking away, but who will die for you when it's double OT? 13-13 once more. A battle. This will come down to who wins an attacking round. It is back and forth. Barely anyone wants to approach B site, and remember, it comes down to information. It was a lot easier for a team like Sad to push into a site when they had a KO and a Sova on Breeze. And with Bob and Moobs only having flash information and their Trailblazers, and sure their ults too, I suppose, but you have to dedicate your execution. You can't dawdle around, poke in, poke out, and poke back in. You can't do that. So any move these attacking teams make has to be what they have to set themselves down for, especially as the timer runs low. That's why these defaults are important. That gives them that moment of reprieve where they can make a second choice. Double contact now.
They're so hungry for this kill on Gucci. They understand how pivotal it is to being able to attack the round, and they'll do it again so clean. The crossfire, though, from Infiltrator is dangerous. Good enough to get one more, and now the paint shell's tossed away. Sad's got to make a run for it and actually split up a little bit here. Infiltrator still on the runaway, has to use the Boombot as well to guarantee. The dog is going to continue to chase them down, just make sure that Infiltrator is fully tossed back. And that heavyweight on the other side will give Sad a bit of a cue to maybe head to vents, but WU, reactively, they'll play from CT instead. They are once again ready for the soft rotation before holding down a site.
That's right.
Just due to that lack of intel.
Your most consistent killer so far in this matchup, gone immediately on a round you desperately need.
No Viper on the other side, though. I mean, you can't fake B side at this stage. You have to just commit, and you don't have your setup after the fact. You don't have snake bites. You don't have the orb to toss. You can't play from those long angles as heavily. You have to play on sight, and Sad does not feel as comfortable doing that. This is still going to be such an uphill battle on the attack, but they'll get onto sight. They'll hold down tower. They'll hold down the drop. They'll get in their positions, and they'll try to hold it down. Winthrop, once again, a 4-stack from screens. It worked before. Can they do it again? Paranoia very early, but the long hold is there, and so is two. Two gone. Bob now coming up to ramp. That presence is mitigated as well. And Jerk has to clutch this up with literally nothing in the pocket. This finally seems like the one that can do it. The straw that breaks the Winthrop camels. They don't have camels. But regardless, it's Jerk that's got to do it all, and he simply cannot. Sad now enter their first game and match point. One round from becoming a VCL team.
Witnessing history here. I mean, you can feel the tenseness of this matchup. It's fast, but the slow moments. You can feel the beats of every single one of these players figuring out what they have to do next, how they can maneuver themselves and stay hidden up until the very end. These executes, if they don't happen within 30 seconds, they've been hidden until the final 30. Defensive pings everywhere. Poison orb down. Early tripwires, making it seem like this should be an A exec from Winthrop. They've done it every time. Maybe they'll do it again. But nobody's moving on Sad. They are waiting. They know it should be different this time around. They're expelling utility, but they spot out the lurk. It's just jerk. It's a default once again. Sad have seen this before, and they know what to do. Anchor. Rotate when they need to. Help out Darkest.
If there's one
Backing
thing,
away.
If there's one thing you don't want to do, it's rub it into Jerk right now, especially when he can just lurk back. He's already with the rest of the team. Darkest just going to back away here, play for the tower control. That snake bite just to divert any stair presence as well. And again, Garage is still unchecked. Gucci is still waiting there. Coburg, gorgeous opening shot, but that's Gucci's activation. Now early entry. They don't expect Darkest to be in this deep. And now they're just going for Garage, making sure that the site is clear main-wise. And so Sad have to go for the pinch, but they'll have tower presence too so long as Skarn gets upstairs. But Jerk is waiting. That's going to be the huge third man that they have to watch out for. Jerk is let go of it though. Boombot's going to guarantee, and so Skarn can start tossing Util into the wayside. Opening cubby tossed out, Infiltrator coaxed away, but that'll get Darkest. Skarn the refrag onto Jerk. Now that tower presence is back, but that Garage is not. Infiltrator to a Crumb. Nazi and Infiltrator cannot do it. Skarn can finish it up, pick up the pieces, and give Supply and Demand the 15th round, the second map, and their ticket to North American Challengers.
Defenders win.
They have done it. I mean, again, history in the making. Unbelievable, and it's so well deserved. Sad Esports, they have been on a tear the entirety of last year. The offseason truly blossoming. It took Bob a lot of different teams, a lot of different players, a lot of different ways to find their way back in the Challengers, and they've done it. They have found the right team, and they have looked so good in the process. And one heck of a matchup to do it too. It was at the very end, the wire. So much that we had seen and so many adaptations. You couldn't ask for a better series to start off today.
And I mean, it comes from so much prep from this team, from all 5 of these players. Again, you've got some of Fisher's finest, you've got some of Northwood's finest, you've got some members of T2 mainstays across this entire offseason. And then you have Winthrop, a team that has not only had players that have teamed with these players before. Gucci has teamed with both Bob and Kat, who Bob had to trounce in their previous matchup as well. The co-ed team dream has been one that many have held, but Sad are the carriers and the victors. Winthrop do have another opportunity in the lower bracket, and they will continue to put up one hell of a fight. But history has been made, and it will continue to be made in the VCL season.
I mean, both teams played so incredibly well, but at the very end, it's always these small little nuances that Sad were able to bring out, and it just came down to positioning. Positioning, how you want to take space, how do you manipulate your enemy team, regardless if it's attack or defense. Sad did it so well on Breeze. It took them a little bit to do it on Split. It took them even longer to do it on the overtime and second half of Split, but they brought it back, they did it well, and now they got to do it for a whole season.
Yeah, get ready for the long haul, because the battle is not over yet. There is always something new to play for. But for now, your laurels you may rest on. Look at that, 19 first bloods from Sad. It just goes to show overall how eventually they were able to weather away at this WU defense, which looked so unbreakable even when the star of it, Gucci, went down. He was such a fulcrum for so many of those rounds, and then even when he was let go of, Winthrop, they changed their playstyle so quickly. They adapted, they played for the hard rotates, they played for the CT control, and they still made it work. They can make a mountain out of a molehill, and they turned this fight into a war. But it's one that Sad won, and one that they are so proud to. Again, I fear anybody who has to face this Winthrop squad, as they will once again be fighting for another VCL spot. They'll get to do that tomorrow, I believe. But for now, we celebrate these victors of Supply and Demand, and Bob ending up being that player of the game. Undeniably so, in my opinion.
I mean, Queen Bob at her finest.
Yeah.
What else is there to say? I wasn't sure whether we'd see a big initiator presence into this matchup, and there was definitely a lot of plays where it would have been a lot more helpful if they had proper information, much more than a Sky. But it was all the teamwork, the communication, playing together, working off of her utility is what set Bob above others. I mean, good lord, 279 ACS. She's only gotten better and better and better over the years, and I really, truly cannot wait to see her play in VCL.
Nothing but improvement from these squads, nothing but improvement from these players, and we do not slow down either. We have one more match, one more team to get into VCL today. YFP versus the Glazers is coming up in our final best of 3 of the night. Don't go anywhere.
The game starts long before the game starts. You get your gear right, your keyboard, your controller, your controller's controllers, and the keys to your keyboard. Because warm hands are faster hands. Gain the upper hand and power up your pregame warm-up with Zippo hand warmers.
Face.